Reset your life. Is it possible? Is it too far gone for you? Did you mess up? Did you make a mistake? Are you feeling like that you got no shot? My name's Austin. Welcome back to the show here tonight. We focus on the life reset, and I'm joined by my beautiful co-host, Dr. Andrea Adams-Miller from the Red Carpet Connection. How are you tonight, Dr. Andrea?
Hunky-dory. What a great week and a great life, huh?
It is, but life can be all of those things and more. Tonight's show is going to be very impactful. I want to immediately ask you to share this, especially if you find yourself in a tough spot. You know somebody who's in a tough spot, seeking for answers, maybe feeling like it's gone too far. You're going to find out tonight that all things are possible. There's nothing so powerful as there's a quote that says there's nothing so powerful as an idea whose time has come. But I'm going to say this, there's nothing more powerful than a story that's finally released. And tonight you're going to hear some stories that are going to definitely open you up. Before we do that, I want to share something here from a book.
Okay.
In short, for massive change to transpire in your life, most often you experience a gripping pain point, a tragedy, major adversity, or a failure that can create enormous pain and or pressure initially. This may or may not be inflicted by external forces, or the pain could be self-inflicted. Regardless of the cause of the pain, this energy of emotion can be harnessed. And I believe it is necessary to enable one to reach the polar opposite in the form of success. So this is taken from my book, Flashpoint, Manifesting the Moment of Your Big Breakthrough. And I just grabbed an excerpt from the polarity principle. The polarity principle. Your darkest day can be turned into your brightest day. Tragedy can be turned into triumph. And the reason why I'm sharing this now, they're not just words on a page. We have two people here that embody this. And no matter where you are on your journey, you're going to walk away better for having listened tonight. So I want to highly encourage you, get a notepad, share, let this story wash over you. Let these stories wash over you and see what can open up for you. So Dr. Andrea, I want to turn it over to you just for a moment. Maybe you have something you want to share before we get into our guests tonight.
Yeah. So tonight with our guests, I'm really excited about how their stories will come out. And so what'll give you a little bit of a pre-frame too is I used to work in law enforcement. So having worked in a jail setting and at the police department, I have a different view and a different viewpoint of the people that come through that are able to utilize situations to find better in their life and to be able to get the lessons that they need to and to come out a better and amazing people. So I'm excited to hear when people have been able to utilize it for good and to find something amazing. And we'll be hearing some stories like that tonight. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah. So I'm going to announce the guests and I'll tell you how this happened, the ability to live in the moment.
Yeah.
Well, the first guest is Eli Lemar, and I just met Eli on Saturday. And I went to an event, Nikki Cuesta's event, BOMB, Building a Leadership Mindset. And Eli was one of the first, I think it was the first person I met. He came up to me and instantly we just started talking and he shared his story. And I said, man, you got to come on my show. And when I said that, I didn't know when that was going to happen. But then later that night, I was with Jose Escobar from the Connected Leaders Academy. And he said to me, hey, did you ever connect with Justin Danforth? I'm like, you know what? We traded messages. And then I had a flashpoint moment, if you will. I thought, why don't we bring, in my mind, I'm like, what if I brought the two of them on together? Because their stories are kind of polar opposite in some sense, but the fruit of it, you're going to hear. And so here we are. So I literally just met Eli, just connected with Justin recently, but sometimes you meet people, you hear their story and you're instantly impacted. So I really feel like you're going to feel that tonight. So hopefully that comes across.
Lovely.
So we're going to start with Eli. Eli has an incredible story. What's really cool is I was born in Philadelphia. He's from Philadelphia. He's in Philadelphia. He and his family were prominent in the music industry. They got a lot of notoriety. Some big names were involved. And then he had this incredible story that basically turned his life upside down, which you're going to hear. Then he's since gone on to form Stamped.1980 LLC. He's an incredible designer, musician, creator. But when you hear what he does from his heart to serve, you're just going to be so moved. So rather than me continue to talk, I'm going to bring Eli on with us right now.
Please.
Okay, all right. So Eli, your camera is not on. Oh, there we go. Eli, can you hear me? We may have a slight delay.
Yeah, and sometimes if someone's calling or texting right in the middle, if they didn't realize he was on.
Can you hear me, Eli?
So while we're waiting for Eli to come on, we can talk a little bit more about Austin. You were at Nikki's event this weekend, and it looks like there was a really great turnout. And I didn't go because my daughter had her bridal shower this weekend, my middle daughter. So I have two daughters getting married this summer. So in Eli, then by showing up at Nikki's, we don't know how he ended up at Nikki's event or who invited him. I'd love to hear that connection as he's sharing his story. Eli, are you with us yet?
All right, we'll give it a little bit of time, but I just want to point out, I opened up with the polarity principle, and that's what we're going to hear about while Eli's working on his connection there. And you can get this book. This is my book. It's Flashpoint: Manifesting the Moment of Your Big Breakthrough. If you search for it on Amazon, you'll find it. And we may have to switch gears here, so we may have to do. So let's give it a moment. But I'll talk about Nikki's event. Nikki's event was chock full of people from all over the world. We had Danny Z from Canada came down for that. We had lots of representation from people. Actually, Jose Escobar was there from the Connected Leaders Academy. There he is right there. So he says, "Good afternoon, everyone. So excited to see Eli on the show tonight. He is an amazing guy for sure." And let's give it another shot. Eli, can you hear me? All right. You know what? Can you hear me? All right. So what we're going to do.
You might need to text him. I don't have his number to do that for you. And then maybe we can go ahead and pull Jordan on first.
Yeah, let's do that. So Justin. So we're going to pull
Justin.
Justin.
Sorry, Justin.
Yeah, and I'm going to pull Justin on, and then maybe we can get Eli back on. So Justin met Justin through the Connected Leaders Academy, and he's got an incredible story. And he is heavily involved with from what I've seen, real estate investing. He's a digital creator, but he also is involved in the real estate space. He's also has the opportunity to be featured in Muscle and Fitness magazine. So we're going to talk about that. But where he comes from, like when you see him and where he's come from, he was incarcerated for over 14 years and completely turned his life around. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on Justin. Justin, are you with us?
I am. How is everybody?
We're doing great. We're good to see your face. We're definitely going to get Eli back on here as well. But like I say, you got to be ready for anything. And that's what it's about, right? So it's about being able to be flexible. But we're eager to jump into your story. I just want to have Dr. Andrea. I know she was checking out your story as well. So before we get into your story, Dr. Andrea, what are you thinking about Justin so far based on what you've learned?
Well, I'm just really impressed with you, and I'm really glad that I hadn't had the pleasure to meet you through the CLA yet. And, to see what you've done and what you've accomplished, it's just a remarkable story. And I'm really glad that you're honored that you came here with us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. Justin, so I wanted to extract your story because that's it's a deep story. And I just want you, are you comfortable going back and sharing your story?
Always, always. Yeah. So when you say going back, I will go back to um, when I first turned 21. I was incarcerated and charged with first-degree murder. So I got locked up with an 8th grade education. And that being said, I was at the time I was real arrogant, um, immature. I did all of the things, all of the worst things you could think of. Way worse than some, not nearly as bad as others, right? So that being said, when I first got locked up, I still had that ignorant mentality. I was still the same alcohol drinking, dope smoking, money chasing, hustler, arrogant, prideful, big ego, just criminal mentality individual for at least about 3 or 4 years of my incarceration. So I got sentenced to 17 years and 9 months, and I served a total of 14 years and 4 months. Um, when I first got locked up, my daughter was 10 months old. So I missed her first everything from words to steps to birthdays to holidays, everything, right? So those first 3 or 4 years, because I had been doing wrong for so long, because it goes all the way back to my childhood. And I became a product of my environment, as they say, right? When you're around certain things, either you're going to influence or be influenced. And I played a role in both. I was influenced by the older guys who I ran the streets with and hung out with. And then I influenced those who chose to be within my circle or my realm. And that influence was upholding a reputation of doing the wrong thing. But I had been doing wrong for so long, it was hard to do right. Like it was, I got anxiety and depressed and angry trying to do the right thing. And I don't have this aha moment to share with everybody. Like I just woke up one day and said, "Oh, I'm gonna change the trajectory of the rest of my life." It don't work that way. At least for me, it didn't. It was a conscious effort every single day to make the change, the growth and development to get me to where I'm at today. And that started with, a vision, a very clear vision, not just, oh, I got these hopes and dreams and goals of all this stuff that I'm going to do when I come home or when I get out. It was a very vivid.
I just want to pause for a moment.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about, I'm hearing what you're saying. And, one of the things I want to do, I try to do anyway, is to extract a moment, like the moments where you were at this low point and the moment that it shifted. Like, do you remember like when if there was a moment where you said, man, like this, like no more, like I'm going to change this, like where you felt the pain so deep, and you felt the road you were going down, like, and something like, was there a moment? Was it a process? Like, can you recall this?
So because there was so many events taking place that led up to me deciding to start making a change. It was a work in progress. There was no one moment that I can pinpoint. Like I said, there was no aha moment, no epiphany. I didn't just decide I was going to change. I just started sticking to a daily routine. And part of that routine was implementing the things that I was reading. And I started reading personal growth and development literature. And so by reading that, the more I read, the more it was like, oh, this is the way my mindset is supposed to be. And I got a real backwards ideology on life and the way, in the way I'm living. And one of the greatest things, so I tell everybody, prison was the best thing that ever happened to me. Prison was the best thing that ever happened for me.
Why would you say that? Like that people hear that and how long you were in for 14 plus or longer?
14 years and 4 months.
So 14 years of your life, people would say was taken away from you. But now you're saying it was the best thing that ever happened. Like, I want to dig into this because that's hard for people to understand. Like, please, please share. I want to hear more about this.
Yeah, definitely. So it was the greatest thing that happened for me because it gave me a chance to sit with myself in isolation. And the more I sat with myself, the more disgusted I became. I never blamed anybody else. I never played the victim game. I didn't blame the judge. I didn't blame the witnesses. I didn't blame nobody. My lawyer, who just threw in the towel on me and told me, if you don't take this plea, you will do a life sentence. You will not get out of prison. It will be a life sentence without the possibility of parole. And I'm looking at my lawyer like, what happened to the fight? I never blamed him. So that being said, the more I looked at sat with myself and looked and reflected, the more I was disgusted at who I was, where I was, and what I had become. And the more disgusted I became, the more evident it made sense to start making a change. So prison, had I not been given that opportunity to sit with myself and reflect, God only knows what would have happened and where I would be at today.
Wow. I got to stop. I just turn it over to Dr. Andrea because I know she's probably, with the law enforcement background that you have and hearing this. What are you thinking, Dr. Andrea?
Well, I really appreciate that. It parallels our whole lives. Sometimes bad things happen to us, even if you've not been incarcerated, and our bodies naturally tend to want to put us in isolation. And on one hand, isolation isn't always the best thing for us. But on the other hand, when you're forced to sit and be with yourself, like you said, you start to notice things, and the only person that you have around you to take responsibility for what's happening is you. And I really appreciate that you were able to find that, and to find that quickly. Not everybody does. And for you to say it was the best thing that happened to you, I like to believe that. I know that I had many people come through the sheriff's department. I worked at a jail, and they were in transition to go to prison, or they were on a short-term time there. And I always knew that eventually they'd get out. And I really wanted to be able to be the corrections officer that was the kind of person that encouraged them to find themselves, so that they knew when they came out, they could find a life that they wanted to create, rather than the life that had been created by their actions or their past or their surroundings of the past.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, what's coming through to me is like the power of pure presence.
Mm-hmm.
I do a show every Sunday at 10 a.m. and it's all about being in the present moment and whatever's happening, like embracing it. And it's one of the themes of my book. It's like, which I just mentioned. And however we get there doesn't, like, some people's stories are different than others on how we get to this place of being able to embrace it. And by the way, quick shout out, Eli, the other option we have, we may be able to just put your audio on only, because I definitely want to hear your voice on this platform. So maybe we could shut the camera off as well. That's an option. But I'm just thinking this incredible ability to be with yourself and sit with yourself, and then have the courage that Justin had to face it. Like, I think that's what I'm hearing. Like, because a lot of people could be sitting in that cell right now with the same opportunity, but they're not looking at themselves. They're blaming the lawyer. They're blaming everybody, and they're robbing themselves of the opportunity to just face the ugliness that whatever we've all created, and we've all done things that could be called ugly or bad or a mistake, and to be able to face it and then turn it. And now you're, like I always say in the book, like, now you're on the opposite side. Like, you're taking all this and you're turning it into beautiful. You're getting on platforms, you're sharing your story, you're in real estate investing, muscle and fitness, all these great things that you're doing it's just miraculous.
Thank you.
So let's talk about that. When did you feel like you turned the corner? Like you felt like, wow, like my life's now going in a direction that I'm starting to feel good about.
Yeah, so it was about, like I said, it was about 4 years into my sentence. I had quit smoking cigarettes. I had quit smoking weed. I had quit drinking alcohol, because you get all of these things in prison. So
Wow.
yeah. So it's I had quit all of these things, and I had adopted, fitness. And one of the key factors to, as you asked, like the moment, or what kind of what took place was, I grew up with asthma real bad. Like, I could get really excited and just start wheezing, couldn't breathe. And I smoked 2 packs a day of cigarettes from the time I was about 11 to the time I was 23. And in prison, I smoked 1 pack a day. I just bought 100s instead of regulars, right? Because they were more expensive, because of the cost. So I smoked a pack a day of 100s in prison. When I quit smoking cigarettes and embraced fitness and started training consistently, I had no issues with my asthma. So it was just another testament to, oh, if you do the right thing, good will happen. If you put forth the effort, better things will happen, will come. What is it, So, like I said, I had a clarity of that vision. And that vision, if you want to look at it as like an avatar, right? Or a Frankenstein, a Gumby. I molded the individual I needed to be in order to feel fulfilled.
Wow.
So a lot of people, I encountered so many individuals in prison over the course of time who did 8 years, 15 years, 20, 25, 30 years, and within 12 to 24 months came right back to prison after their release. And it was mind-boggling. I hated being there so much. I'm like, either you like it here or you that hard-headed. And what I found out was they had these unfulfilled street dreams. There was this one more kilo they needed to get their hands on. There was this one more stripper they needed to just be with, or whatever it was that got them locked back up. It was just this unfulfillment. For
Wow.
me, prior to going to prison, I had already seen and done it all, except live a domestic lifestyle. So for me, I yearn for it. Like I tell people, I read all the Nicholas Sparks books and watched all the movies. I'm still a hopeless romantic, but that's what I yearn for. Prior to going to prison, I didn't wake up next to the same woman every day, cut the grass, take out trash. So part of my vision was to become an upstanding citizen of society who my daughter could be proud of, my mother could be proud of, my nephew, my neighbor, you guys, right? Anybody. And it was to create the best man I could be, the man I would listen to. If I look in the mirror today, I would listen to my own advice.
Yeah. It's funny. I can't help but think of the Shawshank Redemption every time. Like, I think about this because, like, the scene in the movie where, Morgan Freeman, he comes in front of the parole board, and every time he goes out, he's trying to put up a good face. And then the last time, he's like, just authentic. And he says, what would you tell that kid? And he goes on, he starts telling them, like, the advice. And I'm hearing that here. Like, you want to reach it, But I do want to ask you a question before we transition. And this is like, and you don't have to answer it, but I'm just wondering, like, because people have I've made some mistakes. Like, I have something on my hands, you do, and it can be heavy, it can be a heavy weight. Like, what do you think about this person that lost their life, and have you made amends with that? Like, or did you feel like you were carrying that? Like, I'm just curious, like, where you are. You don't have to answer it, but I'm just thinking, not only for the people that have made mistakes that they feel like they can't get out from under.
Yeah. So one of the biggest things, first and foremost, is no matter who you are, the mistakes you've made, in order to move on, you have to forgive yourself. Now, it does. I don't whether you're religious or not, forgiveness exists. And you have to forgive yourself in order to move on.
Yeah.
So I never carried the weight based on the situation and circumstance that happened for that individual to lose their life. Because it was a family affair. Uninvited guests showed up, started trouble, and the individual started stabbing my cousin to death. So that's why he got shot. That being said, I never carried that weight. I didn't have nothing to make amends with.
Got it.
And so, but regardless,
Wow.
my life leading up to that point is the weight that I had to carry. And that's what I had to forgive myself for.
Got it. Wow.
It was the mindset that got me there to that point with a gun to shoot somebody. Whether it was self-defense or defending my cousin's life and things of that nature, it was everything prior to that led up to that. I had been living my whole life with a backwards ideology on life, period. That's the weight I had to carry and forgive myself for.
Wow. Thanks for sharing that, Justin.
Yeah.
So I want to pause just for a moment. I want to see if we can get. I'm going to get Eli on here no matter what. I'll tell you that. Even if we have to get his voice on here, let me see if I can add him into the stream here. We can get his voice. Let's try it. Eli, can you hear me?
I can hear you, brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So at least we can hear your voice. Because now, were you able to hear any of the first segment?
I didn't hear a lot of it, but I did hear at the end of him being in jail and catching a murder and wanting to make amends and stuff like that. And just coming off the amends part, I was taught that you could write a letter and let it go in the air with a balloon. There's many ways you can make an amends, but you got to get, for me, and I'm always talking about myself, and maybe people can see what's going on in me and reflect on. I can reflect some things out. I live spiritually, and if you can't lock in spiritually, it's going to be very hard to fight all them demons you grew up with and them demons that's attached to you, because we're not physical people. We're just a meat suit. So if you can't sacrifice and fast and get closer to God to even understand the word of God, you're going to always live in turmoil and everything that you grew up on, which was tradition and false information. Now people running off of false information because they feel good. It makes them feel comfortable. You take somebody out of their realm, out of their atmosphere, they get quiet, or they start making faces. I don't know, but this is what I saw coming up in my lifetime, because I was around all type of people.
So I'm going to pause you for a moment because I want to hear your story, but I just want you to just reflect on what impacted you about what you did catch about Justin's story. And Justin, is there anything that you kind of hit you?
Similar, it seemed like we come up in the same struggle, around traditional things about just murders and the fast life and a money machine to trigger me, depending on what's going on in my life. Is just everything that we grew up on. I emerged from the crack smoke. My house was a crack house. My brothers and them, did a lot of things, and I picked up on their ways. And when I built that world around me, I couldn't fix none of it because it was too heavy. So, just moving off the impulse, instant gratification.
Yeah.
So I hear a lot of things that he grew up on that I grew up on.
Very similar. Yeah. So before we transition over to Eli, I do want to give a shout out here to connect with Justin and give Justin a final moment here. And if he stays with us, he might be back with us at the end of the show. But he is in the running right now for Muscle and Fitness, to be featured in Muscle and Fitness magazine. I'm going to see if I can pull up this link here, and you can see it. Let's see. I know I have it here. So that should be up on the screen there. So there it is. And I'm going to ask if somebody's watching, they could throw this link in the comments, and I'll definitely put it in the comments. But if can they Google just your name and Muscle and Fitness?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I do want to point out that you can vote for free.
Okay.
Once every 24 hours. So if nothing else, give a free vote. But for those that do pay for votes, those that money don't go to me, don't go to Muscle and Fitness. It's for a charitable cause. It goes to help build homes for veterans.
That's beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to put the link at the bottom of the screen. It's and you can try to Google it, but it's featured.muscleandfitness.com/2023, and then it's Justin-Dan-4. But I have a feeling if you Google it, you might be able to find it. And I'll put the link in the comments for those of you right now. Just give him a hand. He's in the running, so he's really close. It's free to vote. If you pay, the money gets donated to a charitable cause for veterans. So that's a great cause. My dad was a veteran, served in the Vietnam War, so that's close to home. And then Justin, final words before we transition over to hear from Eli here.
Yeah. So just for the audience, for those watching or listening, know that everybody is struggling with something. Everybody's struggling with something. Everybody struggles to on different levels, but somebody struggles. You're not alone. And understand that when you learn to find comfort in the discomfort, you will gain a source of power that will grant you the confidence, the self-esteem, the ability to overcome anything. The obstacles are the way. Your trials and tribulations, your struggles are the way to everything you're trying to achieve and accomplish and your liberation. That's it.
Brother, you said it well. You said it loud. You said it proud. And that's why I love your story, because when you say it, based on what you've been through, it hits. It's going to hit somebody. If it's one person, that's what I always say. One person is all it takes, right? Your life, look at your life. You're one person. Now look at all the people you're impacting. So one person affects many people. So Dr. Andrea, is there anything else you want to share before we exit out Justin before we get into Eli here?
Yeah, I hadn't heard if Justin had written his story yet or anything, and I'd like to hear if he'd considered that.
Written my story as far as publishing a book?
Yeah.
That's a great question. I get that question a lot. I have not. Of course, it's always in the back of my mind. I've been so tied up with, I'm running 4 different companies right now.
Great.
I haven't sat down, taken the time to get it all out on paper or audio even. But I did create a book, and when I came home, published the book, but it's an activity book. It bridges the gap between parent to child relationships.
Oh, wow.
So those who are at any distance, not just incarcerated parents, it could be grandparents, it could be military, it could be children who have to live in a like a hospital situation, maybe due to cancer or something. Any kind of gap between a child and a caregiver or parent, it bridges that gap. It's just an activity.
So, you know what I'm hearing, Dr. Andrea? Yes, I have a book coming out. It's going to be coming out real soon. So we'll get back to you on that.
Well, Austin does have a series called The Underdog Diaries. So I'm just saying.
Yeah, we'll share that. We'll share that right now. And then we'll go to Eli. Here, let's listen up. Do you have an inspirational story and a message you want to get to the world? Welcome to The Underdog's Diaries.
I've always been in a situation where money was not my friend. And it's not because I didn't understand the strategy, right? Because the 80-20, it's not so much strategy as it is mindset, right?
An exciting new campaign that will feature your story in the newest book series, The Underdog's Diaries. A live virtual summit and a live in-person event in Philadelphia featuring the Rocky Steps.
Listen, the world needs your story now more than ever. People are seeking answers and inspiration. That's where you come in. We are launching this project, the Underdog's Diaries first edition, this year, and we're looking for incredible underdog stories. If this sounds like you, complete the application today and get the process started. Additionally, for you solopreneurs, side hustlers, and entrepreneurs, we're going to have various options to help you grow your business. Complete the application today and let's get started.
All right. So there's that. So Justin, hang in there and we're going to bring you on toward the end of the show.
Sounds good.
All right. So let's get to Eli. I have a little trick up my sleeve. Let's see if this works. I think we can pull this off. All right. There we go. How's that?
Yay. That works.
Yeah. So this is Eli. We had some technical stuff going on, but I trust we can hear his voice. And we can get into Eli's story here. Eli, are you with us?
I'm with you, brother.
Great, man. Great. So let's, we're a little bit behind the time, but we do have enough time. So I want to hear your story. I know you were trying to get on. Thanks for hanging in there, by the way. I really appreciate that. And I'm wondering if you could dig into your story a little bit. And I know it's deep and I know it's wide. I'm just going to trust the spirit, man. And let's just
all day. I mean, trying not to go back too far, and try to dig in. I come from a background of addiction, and like I said, false information, and just a lot of struggle. And it was a trickle effect down from my mom's mom, my dad's dad, and it was a mix up, man. And if you can go back to the 80s with Philadelphia, crack really messed our city up, and a lot of people was really trying to recover from that. And I was a part of a project which was called Richard Allen Projects, and another project's called Harrison Plaza, which only thing went down in them projects was war, drugs, party, and I was a part of it. I call it a chemical bomb, not physically blowing us up, but just putting the chemicals in there for us to just go crazy off it. And that's what I emerged from. Now, within that time, I had some Christian beliefs that I grew up on, and I tried to go to high school, but my mother and my father sent me to Job Corps. So I got some things instilled in me, and I picked up some trades and stuff like that. Now, a little fast forward, I was a part of a rap group, which was my own independent group called Truly Fire Entertainment. And I had some friends that was a part of a rap group that was called Ram Squad. Now, what came with all that was indictments, like I said, murder, jail time, people just getting killed. It was chaos and confusion. And as I grew up, I instilled that in me, chaos and confusion. I was a part of that. I was used to that. And I had to go to jail a couple of times to even get closer to God. And I kind of understand what my friend was saying when he said, it was the best thing for him, because that was my breaking time. That was the times I got a break. You know what I'm saying? And that was the times I got close to him because I had a sober mind, and, I made sure I went to church and stuff like that. And the last go round was me going to jail and me coming home to church. Like, I indulged soon. I came back home. And, just to go back in the middle, I went through overdoses. I was on heroin, I was on crack, I was on marijuana, I was on e-pills. Like I told you, within the time of my crisis, which was my mom catching a homicide, and my daughter mom having an aneurysm that busted her head, and me just getting wounded, it was nothing I could do. I couldn't keep up with nothing. My life was just get high. And then after that, it turned into a horror movie. It was a blimp. It was a glimpse. So just going back.
I can't even. I talked to you on Saturday. I can't even imagine how you're here, man.
Oh, I can't imagine either. But I know why I'm here, because God wanted to talk to me when He wanted to talk to me. because like I said, I had no vision. I couldn't even see God. I knew he was there, because I always had faith, but I couldn't feel him, see him, touch him, none of that, because I was physically locked into man's creative idea and woman's creative idea. Like I said, it was, people fell out for Michael Jackson. You can't film him no more because his glory fades and he's dead. Michael Jordan can't stay in the air no more. Some people still probably watch Steph Curry last shot go in the air, but that's what their faith is in. Your belief is in, whatever your belief system is in, you're going to put that energy into that. When it's all said and done, you can't take the house and the cars and the stuff. You can't take the trips and all that to God, because he's going to say he don't know you. And that's what I mean by locked into physical form. Like, we put so much energy into, I telling people we don't have time to do something, but, resistance build muscle. That's why people go to the gym. They want to make themselves, their outside look good. Endurance build a spirit. So it's what you want to practice. When we got in trouble in school, you had to see the principles. It's principles in life. Either you practice the principles of the world or you practice spiritual principles.
Yeah.
It's really easy. So just going back
to the message, man.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I want to, but I definitely want, I know some people are going to hear this, and I'm going to ask you the same thing. Like, do you remember, and there was many moments, I know there was many, but do you remember a moment where you just hit a pain point, like a threshold, and you just felt like no more, like I'm going to go in the other direction?
I remember a lot of moments like that when I woke up, from an overdose, and, just waking up and just being robbed, and, the pain just great enough, being, almost burned to death. You want, at that given time, you're saying I'm done, but you go to a rehab or a recovery house, so you get better for a week, and your mind go back to, I got one more run. I could do this one more time. But it never, when the pain get great enough, so you might have to lose your leg. It took for me to lose my mother, my sister, get shot, get stabbed, 20 overdoses, 8 years out of my life, and whatever else I can remember to say, what the hell is wrong with me? And for me to lose a gap, 13, 14 years gap of my kid's life, for me to wake up and say, this is not it. What's wrong? This is not life. Wow, man. But you have to get around some people to understand that, because if you're around the same people practicing the same stuff, you're going to get the same. It's called insanity.
Yeah, you got it, man. Wow. Yeah. And it's funny, not funny, but what Justin was saying, the same thing, where guys would get out of jail and they said, just one more run. They had street dreams that weren't fulfilled, and they were just going to give it one more run, one more shot. And usually that didn't end well, death, jail.
Something, brother? It's not even fulfilled. It's that they don't know nothing else.
They don't know nothing else.
It stops right there. It's like putting a bunch of fleas in a jar, and then once you put the top over it, they ain't gonna try to jump over the jar. They're not gonna try to get out the jar no more, because they used to jumping at a certain level. Right. When people get to a certain level, they cool with money. Money don't make you happy. When you fight in depression, isolation, and lust, and money's not gonna fix that stuff.
Yeah.
So they go to whatever makes them comfortable, bro. And I understand. Yeah. Because I was stuck in it.
Yeah. So I'm going to give Dr. Andrea a moment, because I know she's thinking about a lot, hearing your story, and there's so much. We could spend 2 hours on here with you easily, just because of all the wisdom that you have from what you've been through. Dr. Andrea, what's coming through for you hearing this?
I have a friend of mine. I'm in a mastermind on Saturdays, and he's shared with us his addiction challenges, and so every week we get to hear different things about how he's now helping other people overcome it. And I'm always moved by how he's able to still be with the other people in the addiction world and get it, like get them and get where they're at, and still be in his new place as well. And I realize Eli may or may not be able to hear me, but he gets it, and that he's able to view and talk to people from both sides, I think is hugely uplifting. And then from another viewpoint, my husband's a fireman, and we've had several calls. We live in a small community, and yet drugs happens everywhere. And he's been to several calls where it's a repeat situation where the same person, they've used the emergency, is it Narcan? I don't, oddly enough, I don't know what it's called. And they use it, and it's multiple people, it's the same person multiple times. And I know that for him, he's thinking, how many more times are they going to be able to do this, and what time is it going to be I show up and the person's gone? And will they ever make that shift or be able to find something different? And so I hear two sides. I hear the societal view, oh my gosh, we're spending so much money, that's terrible, this is frustrating. And then the other side, where like, if it's somebody, but that's my family, that's my kid, give them one more chance. So what a conflict for the world.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, clearly talking to Eli, God has a call on his life. He knows it.
Yeah.
And to overcome all that, Jose is just sharing your powerful story. Eli, you are a winner. You're truly inspiration. But I know you're going to give the glory to God. I know that's who you are. But you had to make a decision at some point. You had to make that decision, and that was on you. And then, I trust you just give it over to God now. Jasmine's on here. She's saying so amazing. Melissa Morales, who was also at the weekend event there, she's saying she's amazed. Well said. So I do want to get into, and maybe we could have you back on in the future. I do want to talk about what you've turned this into and what you do. I want people to hear, because not only that, it's like now you're using your gifts in a different way, and you're taking what God gave you, using it in a different way with your artistic ability. But then you have a kind of a grassroots, boots on the ground thing that you do. And I would love for you to share that. And I know I'll share your Instagram account here too, while you're talking about that.
Cool. This is the best part for me, because you can hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. So I did hear you, Andrea. And so just by God transforming me, and that came with me being obedient and having to purify myself. Everybody make mistakes, but that was the transformation for me. I ain't gonna say I had to stop eating certain stuff, but I cleared my body up for me to get closer to God. I sacrificed some things, and now by me being in so many tunnels and so many, I call it the Legion of Dooms, places people don't even know about, I could still visit them worlds. And what I do now, and that's, I practice the gospel. I'm a part of a church called the Block Church, which when I first started going there, they only had one branch. Now they have 7, and they're very, very, very.
Oh, did we lose them?
Real quick, SAMHSA, it's the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. It's 1-800-662-HELP. 1-800-662-HELP. If someone's listening and you just need someone to hear you and you need some information, it's a free confidential line just to get information for individuals.
Again, Dr. Andrea, what's the number?
1-800-662-HELP. 4357 HELP.
4357. And what's the acronym?
HELP.
No, the name of the organization.
Oh, SAMHSA. It's Substance Abuse Mental Health Services Administration.
All right, I'll put that on the bottom of the screen here for everybody to see. In case, is that it? 1-800-662-4357.
Yeah.
I think it's there.
Yeah. So if we can give people a chance, and for those, who have different opinions, I always tell them, write people in your area, write your mental health people, if you want more services for your city, you want to create things, want to make a difference, find your local organizations and help make a difference. You can save people like Eli.
Yeah. And then here's Eli's Instagram. It's stamp.1980. You can go check that out. You're definitely going to want to follow what he does. I guess, is he still on here? Let's try to add him again.
Yeah, I'm back on, y'all.
There you go.
Like I do get down there and I get to see the presence of God, because, I go down there and I don't know if anybody ever see the Blade movie, but that's how it is. It's like vampires. And, if you're not normal to them down there, you know something can happen to you. So once I sit down there and I let them know that I was a part of this, and I feed them, and I see God, you put joy.
So
Yeah, so what I'm gonna do, just because of the technical, we're gonna get Eli back on here again, and maybe we'll even do it in person. You know, because he's close enough to me, I could do it in
that would be
person.
great.
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring Justin back on because he was waiting, and then we're gonna wrap the show up with the final stuff here. So let me get Justin back on the show. Hey, Justin,
Hey,
welcome back, man. I know you were listening, so just want to give you a chance to chime in as we get prepared to close here.
yeah, no, again, it's incredible, man. One of the things that's most important here is from those of us that have overcome any trial and tribulation or affliction at any level is to give that to the world if you've overcome it. There's somebody that can relate at some point, some level, that needs to hear how you overcame it, because that's a lot of times that's what people suffer from, is not knowing where to start, not knowing how, and just giving up and becoming comfortable with where they're at or complacent. So I definitely commend Eli for having that courage, that integrity, the dignity to have overcome and be a voice to all of those that may be faced with similar situations.
Yeah, you know, and like I said, you know, earlier, you know, you reach one person. You know, you don't have to reach thousands. You can reach one.
Yeah.
And change the world, man. Change people's lives, you know. And so let me just, and by the way, make sure you vote for Justin, Muscle and Fitness. And then let me see if I can get Eli back on for just a final comment before we just, let's see here. Eli, final word.
What I could say to people, man, if you don't know how to give up, man, surrender. Just, and I hate to use this example, man, act like you got locked up. You surrender to the COs, you surrender to the jail people. You know, just act like you're in a cell sometimes, act like you're in a box, but you just got to be open-minded and willing to change. Change comes with embracing the world, man, and got to just fill everything up. We don't have to sacrifice animals no more.
Wow. I just,
life.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sacrifice things in your life. That's it. And just give yourself a chance, man. Trust and believe. He's preparing.
I just got a download. I just got a download.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if you guys did a collaboration. You called it the cell block. And people came in there and they just surrendered. Enough with their own madness and just turned it over.
You got to be vulnerable, man. You know, that's where a lot of us men don't want to. They want to hold the stuff that they, you know, grew up on, or they want to hide stuff from their closet. Only thing is all right. Whatever happened is all right. You're not a part of this world, man. Trust and believe. You're going to move on. People is going to die. People is going to move on. That's what life is. Let go. If you let go, you're going to soar.
Love it. Well, I want to thank the two of you for not only coming on the show, but for keeping it real, for sharing some things that you went through that, you know, only you know, like you went through it, right? It's your journey. And I just commend the two of you for because whatever the forces were, you had to make a decision. That you both had to make a decision at some point that things were going to be different. And that's why you're here, along with a lot of other guidance. So I just want to thank you. Maybe we can do this again in some other way or something. And I hope the two of you connect and just offline and have a conversation and see where it goes.
Definitely. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having me on. Nice meeting you guys too.
Bye-bye.
Nice to meet you as well. We want to remind everyone to share this. I did share it on my Facebook page, or just to go to the YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is Austin J. Haines, and hashtag Flashpoint, hashtag Power of Pure Presence, and hashtag Austin J. Haines.
Yeah, I just want to wrap up with, this is an incredible show. I hope if you're getting the playback, I do want to point you to my website. So I do want to share that real quick, because we have some things coming up that you're going to be able to take advantage of. And I'm going to say this. What if I could take your goal, your highest aspiration, and increase, let me put it this way, Dr. Andrea, what if you had a 95% chance? I give you it's an investment. You're going to give me $10,000, and I say, there's a 95% chance I'm going to turn this into $100,000. Would you make that investment?
Of course.
Okay. So think about your highest aspiration. What if there was a 95% chance that it could happen this year? So your highest aspiration for 2023, 95% chance it's going to happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's possible.
Yeah.
And on Thursday night, I'm doing a webinar at 6:00, and I want to talk about this. So let me put my website up there. I'm going to be updating the website, but you'll be able to go there. And where is it?
So to touch on that while Austin's pulling that up,
Yeah,
it's not just about money that Austin can do for you. So if it's something that you want to see happen, something that you want to achieve, something that you want to create, something that you want to multiply or duplicate, Austin is very skilled at what he does. He's had 17 years in corporate sales for a Fortune 500 company and left it all to help other people find their sure footing so that they can have their flashpoint moment.
Yeah. And so I just invite a conversation. It's austinhaines.com. We have the 95% chance. And then I want to share this quickly. We're going to Costa Rica, March 2nd through March 10th, 2024. So here's that. All right, just for time, we're cutting short, and I'll be back Sunday with Power of Pure Presence, the authentic you, uncover the authentic you, and Dr. Andrea Adams Miller from the Red Carpet Connection, my publicist. Thank you so much for co-hosting tonight. Fantastic show. I'm going to watch this again.
Great job.
Have a good night, everyone. Bye-bye.